What a very good Sunday afternoon, and I'm glad you take time now, if you're watching this, to spend time together in God's Word as we continue a study through the Gospels. Right now, going through the Gospel account of Matthew, and I hope that it's been encouraging and uplifting, faith-building as we go through the Gospels together, and I've been looking through Matthew's Gospel, and we're picking up today in Matthew chapter 17, and we'll be starting in verse 14. Last time we had looked at the first half of this chapter, and we had talked about when Jesus had gone up on the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and he was transfigured. His glory shone. He was changed. He shone, real bright in his glory, talking with Moses and Elijah. And then Peter, James, and John witnessed that and heard then the Father call from heaven, proclaim Jesus as his Son, and that he is well pleased in him, and how they should listen to him. Then the disciples asked about Elijah. Why is it that the scribes say that Elijah should come first? And Jesus explained it to them. They realized that he was talking about John the Baptist. John the Baptist fulfilled that prophecy in preparing the way of the Lord. Well, now we come to verse 14 in Matthew 17. And if you want to open there with me or just listen along. They then, after this, Jesus and Peter and James and John have been on the mountain here, and I'm guessing this next scene must have happened while they were up there, while they were gone. But nevertheless, they come down the mountain, and then they come to the multitude of people that, again, there was always a multitude, following Jesus somewhere, wanting either to listen or wanting him to heal them, so on and so forth. And so they come to the multitudes, and a man comes up to Jesus. And he comes to Jesus humbly, kneeling down, we're told, kneeling down to Jesus and saying, here's what he said: "Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic and suffers severely. For he often falls into the fire and often into the water. And so I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him." Now Jesus had given his disciples at times abilities to heal and cast out demons and so on and so forth. But here this man had come to the disciples of Jesus, and they couldn't do it. Well, then Jesus responds in verse 17 and says, "O faithless or unbelieving and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long will I bear with you? Bring him here to me." I mean, Jesus is, in a way, he's kind of frustrated. Jesus has been on earth, obviously, but really his ministry's been going on. He's done so much, so many wonders, so many miracles, so many teachings. And, now this happens, and Jesus, just expresses for, multiple reasons his frustration. How long am I going to bear with this faithless, unbelieving generation of people? But we know Jesus, of course, loves and he cares. He's trying so much to instill faith in the people and his disciples. And just time and time again, they're falling short, which he understands, but he's trying to encourage them. I mean, he doesn't just say, "Oh, okay, oh well, no big deal." Jesus is constantly encouraging, trying to build up his disciples, the people, trying to challenge them, trying to get them to grow in their understanding and in their faith. And then Jesus himself, verse 18, rebukes the demon within this boy, and it came out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Well, then the disciples in verse 19, they come to Jesus privately, and they ask him and say, "Why could we not cast out this demon?" Well, Jesus, his answer to them was, "Because of your unbelief," the New King James says, or your little faith, as some manuscripts would say. Jesus just tells them, That you didn't have enough faith in this instance. For assuredly I say to you, he goes on to say, that if you have faith as a mustard seed, which is the really small, tiniest of seeds, but it grows up greater than any other of its kind. Any other bush grows up into almost like a tree. And Jesus says, if you had just that much faith, then you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. And nothing will be impossible for you. Jesus' point there. Jesus wasn't trying to say all you have to have is a little faith, because obviously, these people had a little faith. So what's Jesus' point? Well, his point is we've got to grow in our faith. We've got to have faith, and that in faith and by faith, we can accomplish a lot of things. And for them, performing miracles was an immediate result of their faith and really trusting in God and in the power of God. And for us today, we may not be performing miracles. That was not Jesus' promise. Jesus' promise is not that we're going to, if we have faith, we're going to be able to perform all kind of miracles today. But what we could take from this is that by faith, we can conquer the challenges of this life. We can get through this life. We put our faith and our hope and our trust in God, and we can accomplish great things. We can conquer this world. We can conquer sin. We can conquer trials and so on and so forth. In verse 21, he does say, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. It was going to take a lot, to cast this demon out. Prayer, fasting, he says. But it's a reminder to us as well today, as we said. What we can learn from this example, we obviously see the power of Jesus in casting out this demon. But we see a lesson here of us all growing in our faith. And Jesus wasn't saying, well, all we got to do is reach a little bit of faith, and as long as we have a little bit of faith, then hey, we can just kick back and relax and no big deal. No, Jesus is trying to instill in us that if you will, that strength in faith, or the faith in God, and to grow in that faith and to really trust in the Lord. And that's what we can learn today. To continue to put our faith and trust in God, to know that God can do all things. Nothing is impossible with God, but we live according to his will, whatever that will may be. And so here's another instance, seeing the power of God, seeing the power of God working through Jesus and Jesus instilling that faith. But again, we see Jesus challenging his disciples, challenging the people. Come on, let's go, grow in faith. Why are you lacking in faith? You've seen what I've done. You've heard what I've taught. You should know by now who I am, what I can do. And really the same thing to us is when we look to God's word, we see, we hear, we can know God, know Jesus, know his spirit, know his power, know his love. So there's no reason for us to doubt. But instead, we need to be growing in faith. And faith comes by hearing God's word. Faith comes by continuing to look to God, see God, hear God, see his power and his love. And let it work in your life. Let it build in your heart. Grow in faith. Grow in grace and in faith and in knowledge and in hope and in love. And I hope this encourages us all to do that. May God bless you in your faith and your journey. As you continue to grow, as I continue to grow, bless us all together to go closer to him, stronger, faithful, diligent, and to trust in God in this life so that in the end we can be conquerors and receive the end of our faith, which is the salvation of our souls. Take care, and God bless.